Welcome to the news at Trash Panda Revelry. Here's some of the news this week. More unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP files, were released by the government this week. So we got some more videos of blurry Tic Tacs and Skittles and saucers flying around, which is kind of interesting, but also really just a great way to distract us from what's going on in the world in front of us. Speaking of real-world aerial phenomena, the Washington Post reported this week that, due to a security threat, President Trump hid in a catering container while secretly switching from Air Force One to another military plane for the flight out of Turkey following the NATO summit meeting last month. And then, after switching back to Air Force One in London, when talking to reporters, Trump jested to them about it maybe being a dangerous flight, saying, "But if I go, you go, right?" And what's amazing about that statement is that it's the exact opposite of what happened. It's like a man sitting next to someone on a bus and he says, "I heard this bus is having really dangerous issues on the road, but hey, if I go, you go, right, buddy?" And then he goes to the bathroom and then promptly walks right out the back door onto another bus. And then when they get to the destination, he just finds him again and says, "Man, that was risky, but hey, it's you and me all the way, right, pal?" And it's not like it's all military on Air Force One either. There's press, among others. So it was enough of a threat for Trump to switch planes, but they didn't eliminate or even mitigate the threat. They just still ran a plane full of unknowing American civilians with an active threat in play as a decoy. So brave. Hey, my fellow Americans, as always, it's you and me, right? Old buddy, old pal? Politico reported that the Trump administration has stopped supporting the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Arctic Report Card that summarizes and details yearly changes in the Arctic due to changes in climate. Instead, in order to continue pretending that the reality of climate change doesn't exist, they're just going to run some of those Coca-Cola commercials with the polar bears for you. Blindly refreshing. In other news, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt announced that she is departing the White House. After being a very effective mouthpiece for an administration that has lied almost constantly and attacked almost every American minority in existence, she has definitely helped make the world a worse place with less empathy and compassion. But hey, I'm sure continuing to hypocritically wear that gold cross around her neck will make up for all that. In related news, ICE and DHS have published their plan to order electric shock gloves for agents to deploy on immigrants. You know, the racial profiling and raids of neighbors in our community in a country largely built by immigrants is so un-American. Now, I can certainly understand deporting serious criminals as long as there is some due process, as there is absolutely no right to come to a country and cause chaos. And strong borders are fine. Every country has a right to that. But for the people already here, who have been living and working here, often because we needed the labor, families working here, many of whom have been here for years, we need amnesty for working immigrant families, not endless un-American Gestapo raids. Undocumented immigrants, just for some examples, make up about 20% of construction workers and about 40% of crop harvesting workers. So, good enough to build and put roofs on our houses, but not good enough to have a roof over their head here. Sorry, no room at the inn. Good enough to clean our rooms, care for our elderly, mow our lawns, and pick most of the food that we eat, but not good enough to eat and live here themselves. I see. As J.D. Vance and Caroline Leavitt would say, wow, now that's Christ's love right there. In other news, the Wall Street Journal reported this week that President Trump is ordering the Navy to expensively restore old technology in new aircraft carriers, against Navy officials' consistent recommendations. The newer electromagnetic launching system should be replaced by an older steam catapult system, according to Trump, with all of his history of being a pilot. Sorry, a naval aviator. Also, in keeping with this older technology order for aircraft carriers, any and all streaming Rokus on board are to be replaced by VCRs, each with multiple VHS copies of Top Gun, Under Siege, and of course, Home Alone 2. And finally, the New York Times featured an article this week about how many singles are choosing to concentrate in and enjoy hobbies rather than spend hours swiping for relationships on dating apps. Sounds kind of healthy and cool. And of course, that's why this trash panda isn't getting laid right now. It's because I'm choosing not to get laid. That makes sense. Whew, good. Because for a second there, I was worried that I was just freaking weird. That's all the news for the week. See you next time!